And we're very delighted to have with us Gong Chow, who joins us from a suburb of Chicago. Gong, very, very happy to have you here.
Me too. Thank you.
Now, Gong, your composition is called and
Ajita.
that Agitato, and that's a piece that is being performed by the Orchestra Manhattan.
Yes.
Yes, and that'll be recorded by them and
Right.
come out on an album that I believe Virtual Concert Halls is part of.
Yes.
So we'll talk a little bit about that piece. Well,
Hmm.
maybe we'll start first with your career. You are a violinist,
Yes.
and you studied with
Dorothy did.
no less
Dorothy
a
Delay.
person. You
Yes.
studied with Dorothy Delay,
Yes.
who is known to be one of the greatest teachers ever on the
Right.
violin.
Yes.
Itzhak Perlman being one of her students.
Right.
So, were you born? Where were you born, if I can ask?
Oh, I was born in Henan, Zhengzhou, in China.
In China,
In
and
China.
then you came to the United States to study with Dorothy Delay
Yeah, that was after my study in the Central Conservatory of Music in Beijing.
in Beijing.
Yes, that was. I finished my study in the Central Conservatory in 1986.
Uh-huh.
At the same time, I got a job in the National Orchestra as a first violinist. And when I was in the Central Conservatory, I already started composition.
Uh-huh.
While I played the violin, that was my major. And actually, in my heart, um, composition always the first priority. So, music study to me is like a cane for you to have a steady walk. And when I was little, I have two instruments to choose from. I enjoy piano, but uh, in my hometown, hardly you can find a piano. Usually, one school you could have a piano. So in my house, we don't have a piano. We didn't have a piano, but we had a violin hanging on the wall. My daddy, he enjoys the music. That that was his instrument. So I picked up the violin initially. That's how I started.
I see.
And later on, my daddy uh, saw I have the interest in the music, not just play for fun or something. Then he started finding me a professional teacher.
Uh,
So every week he will ride a bike with me to see my teacher to have a lesson. And eventually, I began like more and more serious and spend a longer time on the violin. So I got a good teacher, luckily. So I made a quick progress, and he sent me into the affiliated high school with the Central Conservatory of Music in Beijing. And I got in 1980. Stayed in there for 2 years.
huh.
2 years later, I have to audition again to be able to accepted by the Central Conservatory of Music in the college level. And at the same time, it's very interesting. And every year, um, the like every three students will share one same studio. So at the Central Conservatory, we should have an opera singer major share the studio, also a composition major, or conducting major, and I was in the like orchestral department. So we had three different working schedules, study schedules. So we had a different class that each one of us during the day and the evening you can have a different schedule. So we can share that same room, practice room, individually. And one year, one of my college year, I shared the studio, with Tan Dun.
Tandun.
Tan Dun, yeah, he was just a composition major, and
Right.
yeah, so he had a lot of written scores, and some score he didn't like it. He put in the trash can, and so I experienced in that same year. We shared the same room, same studio for 1 year, but uh, in that year, he got a first prize for his composition ever in Germany. He wrote a string quartet and with modern languages, and he rehearsed all his music and like before send out that recording in the same studio. So all of this uh, gave me experience, first-hand experience, how how the new pieces was composed, and the somewhat I think that he followed like a Stravinsky's way, like a Firebird, and he used music to. He told me, and jokingly told me that music was from pre-civilization. There's no 7 note or 12 tone key. There's no key, so people just sing whatever they have in their mind. There's not something in tune or out of tune harmonic system, not at that piece because it's pre-civilization, and that piece got a first prize, and I still remember. It's so interesting. But my major at that time was violin. So what I did is I just learned everything. I had two great teachers. One is Yang Hongnian, another one is Yang Rouhuai. One taught me about the harmonic language, so I learned how to write the harmonic progression, like harmonic lessons. Professor Yang Rouhuai taught me about the structure of a composition, of a symphony, how the form, the development of a large work.
Architecture, yeah.
Architecture. And for composition itself, I refrained to find a teacher to teach me how to compose. I knew I have different ideas with the traditional way of teaching. So I just allowed me subconsciously, allow me the space to develop my own way of thinking about the sound, the logic between the colors and the structures, and how to use whatever the system, or Western scale system or Eastern pentatonic scales. At that time, I knew I enjoyed Debussy and Ravel,
right?
Also Schoenberg and Stravinsky. So it's very interesting. I didn't know what my language should be, but I knew I got to find my own language. Otherwise, I would just copy Beethoven,
right?
Everybody else. And the time I found my own language and all the logics is it's after I came to U.S. After 10 years, I came to U.S. One day I feel, just like a long sleeping period, you suddenly wake up in the music sounding world, like all the sound, all the theories start suddenly make sense to my own thinking system, and that's when I started to compose. After I already I taught at the Wright State University and Dayton University of Dayton. At that time, that's when I started composing. While I was playing the first violinist in the faculty quartet, do the performance with Dayton Philharmonic. So all of this is just coexisting. I started to compose.
And now you've released 7 music albums, I'm told.
Right.
And those are available to listen to online, imagine, on
Yes.
Spotify and Amazon.
Yes.
And
Apple Music.
Yes, an apple. I'm very anxious to hear those. Now, tell us a bit about this composition, agitato. You held up the score a minute ago. Uh,
Yes.
so tell us what our listeners can look forward to if they hear that piece.
Yes. This piece actually is very emotionally charged. I didn't realize. I was just pressing the key, and I was trying to think what the structure for this piece would be. And usually, like you serve the sea, you just touch the water and waiting for the big wave. And I started the first note. The note, actually the note, the synthesizer itself, drove my feeling and thought. That's how I composed that music. And I had a big major seventh chord,
Hmm.
huge crescendo. It feels like an eruption of a volcano.
Mm.
Mm, huge. It's a huge crescendo. It's not like a normal Beethoven crescendo. It should be like from starting, you can say piano, and immediately go to three forte, fortissimo, huge crescendo. The note itself will carry a lot of energy. And once I repeat it, and it's like an emotional wave and charge,
Mm.
wave after wave. And I started with the major seventh, but the whole like a whole phrase, will eventually uh, work out as a consonant. So you start dissonance, you end up in consonants. So um, like a music sentence after sentence, like music wave, and
Hmm.
wave after wave is moved along, and there's the whole structure is like we can think like A, B, A prime.
Can you show us the score again? Y-
Yes.
We'll show our viewers the score. Hold it up a little bit closer. There you go. Yeah, just there you have it. Yeah. So
Yeah.
there's, is that the major seventh chord at the beginning?
Yes.
I see. Wonderful. So it's called agitato, and can that be listened to online?
Yes.
So we just put in your name as a composer, and then agitato will be able to listen to it. Well,
Right.
I'm gonna do that as soon as we're done here. I'm very anxious to hear the piece, and I might ask you, you're in. What brings you to Chicago? Do you live in Chicago?
Yes. I live in Chicago. Because my wife, I I taught at the University of Dayton, and my wife works with Senator Stevenson, and so I have to come. I come like I drove every weekend from Friday. I, I pack everything with kids into the van to drive to Chicago. And we
Right.
were living on the uh, Michigan Avenue,
Oh,
like
really?
where Roosevelt and Michigan.
Right.
And that tall building, we lived on the 18th floor, and just facing the lake.
The lake.
Right
Yeah.
yeah, it was before the high rises, the glass buildings
Right.
in front of us. So every morning we could see, the sunrise, the clouds,
Uh-huh.
and on the first on the first night, I remember I lived in that apartment, and I worked out the three pieces on my synthesizer. So I composed the three pieces. That that three pieces was on the album of Sonic Spring.
Sonnet Spring. Yeah.
Yeah. So everything was inspired from the Chicago Lake, Michigan Lake, and Chicago skyline. So
I lived in Chicago from 2000 to 2020.
wow.
Yeah, I ran the radio station you may have listened to, the classical station
Yes.
at WFMT. Yeah,
Yeah. I listened to a lot of it.
yeah. So I was the manager for 16 years.
Uh, I remember. I searched your name before.
Good.
Yes.
Well, it's been wonderful to talk with you. I wish you a wonderful luck with your future compositions, and I know we're very much looking forward to hearing Agitato. I'm going to go try to find it right now on
Sure.
one of
If
the
I
online
may, I
sources.
can offer you a little more about the structure. The major sevenths later on also minor seconds.
Oh.
Like after the violin solo, during the second part of the violin solo, when the orchestra comes back in, and they have the minor seconds.
Yeah.
So major sevenths, minor seconds, it was just one octave.
I say yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when people go to listen to the album, they cannot hear this piece with the violin solos. Only the piece that Orchestra Manhattan produced was the most recent version, which has the violin solo. Actually, the violin solo is a more it's more like a detailized emotional presentation about that alt verse.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
Well, we'll look forward to hearing it, and I thank you for taking time to talk with us. We'll look forward to hearing it and seeing this interview.
Very happy to talk to you.
Very nice to talk with you. Thank you.
It's my honor.
Mine too.
Thank you.
Hi, Maestro Rowe.
Hello,
Nice
Gong
to meet
Qian. A
Nice to meet
delight.
you.
你身体好吗？
很好。
好。
It's really a surprise. We can talk in Chinese.
一点点。
一点点 Very good.
我太太是中国人。
中国人
我太太是中国人。
哦，你太太是中国人。
对。
Wow. Wonderful. Congratulations.
That's about the limit of my language. But a pleasure to meet you.
My pleasure too.
And I'm really looking forward to working on this piece of music. And I think I don't want to waste your time, so why don't you just talk to me a little about the inspiration of this work? And what were you thinking when you wanted to write the piece?
This piece, actually, the music, we don't get the score. We got the sound first. I work on the working station. So when I have the mood and I have the sound in my mind, I would work on the synthesizer. So I basically just work out all the sounds based on that moment of emotions, create this piece. Later on, after quite some days, and me and my wife, we discussed, what a title we should put on with this music. And you can feel the agitation, a lot of emotions. I would think somewhat, like today, I try to define what type of mood we should relate to, not just agitato. You could think of like a Brahms' First Symphony, like that kind of tension. But for this one, it's more melodic. We don't have too many like spazzatos and accents. It's like a and should be with the crescendo. We should augment that, like from we don't want the accent, but we start from something very gentle, but we immediately make a crescendo, a lot of vibratos. So it's like I'm trying to think about like
so waves of sound.
Wave of sound. Big
kind
wave.
Of, it's as the Germans call it, kind of Klangfarben melody a little. It's
yes.
using colors as almost like thematic material.
Yes. You got that right on the point.
Yeah.
And the interval, the first note, and it's a major seventh. It's not just a seventh, it's a major seventh.
Yep.
It's like it has a full potential to expand. So create that kind of tension. then immediately we get the resolve. So from dissonant to somewhat consonant.